What time's our first meeting today?
In about half an hour. I'll go on in advance, but there are some letters here which perhaps you will deal with before you come along yourself.
All right, I will. They're mostly about the coming general election. Everybody's thinking about that now, and quite rightly too. You do realize just how important this election will be, don't you? It'll decide your future. It doesn't matter which way you voted in the past. The situation is far too serious at the moment to allow past prejudices to cloud present issues. To clear your minds, I think you want to ask yourselves two questions. First of all, what is the real record of this socialist government? And secondly, what sort of a country do you and I want to live in the future? Well, first of all, the socialist record. They boast that they prevented unemployment by their own skill. But that simply isn't true. Sir Stafford Cripps and other labor leaders have admitted that if it wasn't for the financial aid we'd had from the United States of America, we'd have over 1.5 million people unemployed today. Then again, they claim all the kudos for the social services. But you know, in fact, there isn't a single social service which has been introduced by this government that wasn't in fact devised or set into motion before the socialists ever came into power. On the other hand, socialism is responsible for nationalization, and every industry or service which has been nationalized has cost the country millions of pounds by financial loss. Our money, yours and mine. And that's caused higher prices and higher taxation. So that today, in peacetime, we're the most highly taxed country in the whole world. Take another point. Socialism has bred controls. A great number of these controls are unnecessary, but the result is that today we need twice as many officials to manage our affairs as were needed before the war under conservative governments. Now, what about our food? The socialists have insisted on government officials bulk buying our food from abroad. Experienced private buyers could have bought more cheaply. If the socialists had bought more feeding stuffs, we could have produced more of our own food here at home, and it would have cost you less in the shops too. Constant confusion between the ministries of agriculture and food have caused real hardship to our home producers and have resulted in a lack of confidence on the part of our farmers, smallholders, and market gardeners. The socialists haven't kept their promising about housing. They've restricted the private builders. The new houses which they've put up are much too expensive, and they haven't allocated nearly enough of them to the country districts. They've done little or nothing about village water supplies, electricity, or the bus services. During the past 5 years, we've been constantly misled by this government's false statements and unjustified optimism. Even the pay packets which you're getting today are totally misleading. The cost of living has risen out of all comparison. Just take a look around you and see what your money will buy you today. Cigarettes, 3 and 6 pence. Used to be 11 halfpenny for 20. Matches, 2 Used to be a halfpenny a box. Beer, 1 and a penny. Used to be 6 pence for a pint. And it was beer in those days. Tobacco, 4 and a penny halfpenny. And it used to be only 1 and a penny halfpenny for an ounce. You see, it doesn't matter which way you look. Your food, your clothing, your coal, your petrol, electricity, gas, transport, and your holidays. They've all gone up. Now, where's all this money going to? If it was all being used to pay for our defense and for our social services, that would be understandable. But it isn't. Far too much of your money is being wasted by this government in its extravagant administration. It's chiefly due to this extravagance that we've finally had to accept all the disadvantages of the devaluation of the pound. And so you see that although sometimes things look as if they're quite bright on the surface, In fact, today, our situation is like a child's castle of cards. It's bound to collapse. And what angers me is that the first people to suffer will be the working man and woman on whose backs these rulers have climbed to power. Well, now, what do the socialists offer us for the future? Nothing but more nationalization and further controls. And this is where I come to my second point. What sort of a country do you and I want to live in? You've got quite a clear choice, but there can be no compromise. There's no middle road. Under socialism, we shall be controlled and planned and ordered and directed by a government on whose decisions we shall have to rely entirely. And we shall have less and less freedom of expression, even in Parliament. There'll be ever diminishing chances of rewards for personal effort. In fact, the state will become our master, and we shall have to do what we're told, even if we don't like it later on. Let me warn you, most solemnly, and with all the force I can muster, that even today, inside the labor movement, the power is being wrenched from the hands of the moderate labor leaders into the clutches of the extreme left-wing socialists. There can be only one end to this: communism. And if we go on as we are now, we shall all of us see it in our lifetime. Now, what's the other road? What do we conservatives offer? Well, we mean to maintain full employment, to safeguard your social services, and to keep up our standard of living. And here's our plan. We shall encourage competition in the shops, in the factories, and on the farms. We shall establish the principle of equal pay for men and women doing equal jobs. And we'll help the small man in industry. We'll limit controls to a minimum, and we shall simplify those which are still needed. Incidentally, we will not abolish price controls or rationing on any necessity until there's enough of it to go round. We shall cut out all waste in government expenditure. We mean to reduce taxation as soon as possible, particularly income tax and purchase tax on necessities. We will stop nationalization, and we'll free the iron and steel industry from the threat of state ownership. We shall restore sections of road transport to private and municipal ownership. And we'll overhaul the coal board and all other nationalized industries. We'll obtain our food and our raw material more cheaply by relying on normal trading and less state buying. We'll arrange to produce more of our food here at home. We'll give our farmers more feeding stuffs, as well as a guaranteed market. We'll protect our market gardeners against destructive imports. We mean to see that every family in the land has a separate and a decent home. We'll encourage the private builder. We'll give special priority to housing in country areas, and we shall do everything we can to improve village water supplies, electricity, drainage, and the bus services where necessary. Finally, we will restore real leadership and thereby get back our national confidence and the trust and admiration of the rest of the world. Well, there it is in a nutshell. The future's in your hands. Your secret votes at the next election will decide which of the two parties is to lead us and along which road we're to travel. It's a big responsibility, so think it over carefully. Come to one of my meetings and ask me your questions. Personally, I'm convinced that only the Conservative Party can lead us along the right road for Britain, and that only that road can lead to our survival as a free and independent nation which gives to every man, woman, and child a chance to make the most of life.